The anonymous message warned me not to open Laura's safety deposit box. It said someone had been watching my family for years. I should have listened. Because the moment the box opened, I found a photograph that proved my nightmare wasn't over. It had only just begun. If you enjoy emotional family dramas filled with shocking secrets, betrayal, suspense, and unforgettable twists, make sure to subscribe. This chapter changes everything. The manager slowly opened the vault door. His face looked tense. "Mrs. Lawson, the gentleman insists he needs to speak with you immediately." I carefully slipped Laura's journal, the photograph, and the envelope back into my purse. "I'm coming." As I stepped into the hallway, I saw him. The same man from the faded photograph. Older now, gray hair, a tailored charcoal suit, calm eyes. He wasn't trying to hide, he simply stood there, waiting. He gave me a polite smile. "Rebecca Lawson." I didn't answer. Instead, I pulled the old photograph from my purse and held it up. "Were you expecting me to recognize you?" He glanced at the picture, then nodded. "Eventually." My heart pounded. "Who are you?" He extended his hand. "My name is Victor Sullivan. I was your father-in-law's closest friend." I ignored his hand. "Laura called you the reason our lives fell apart." His smile disappeared. "I was afraid she might." He looked genuinely disappointed. "But she never knew the whole story." I folded my arms. "Then tell me." He looked around the bank lobby. "This isn't the place." Against my better judgment, I followed him to a quiet cafe across the street. Neither of us ordered coffee. Victor reached into his briefcase. He placed another old photograph on the table. This one showed my husband, my father-in-law, Victor, and my own father. I froze. "What? My father knew you?" Victor nodded. "For many years." I couldn't believe it. "My father never mentioned you." "He couldn't," Victor answered softly. "Because we promised never to speak about what happened." I leaned forward. "What happened?" Victor took a deep breath. 25 years ago. Our companies weren't competitors. They were partners." I stared at him. "So why did everything fall apart?" He looked down. "Because someone stole millions of dollars." I immediately looked at him. "You?" He slowly shook his head. "No. Someone much closer to your family." Every instinct in my body told me he was lying. Laura had warned me. She had practically blamed this man. "Why should I believe you?" Without saying another word, Victor slid a thick envelope across the table. "Because the evidence has been waiting for you." Inside were bank statements, old contracts, letters. Every document carried official signatures. One signature caught my eye immediately. My father's. Another, my father-in-law's, then a third signature. One I'd never seen before. "Who is Daniel Cross?" Victor became unusually quiet. "The accountant." "The only man who knew where every dollar went." I frowned. "And where is he now?" Victor looked directly into my eyes. "No one knows. He disappeared 24 years ago." My hands started trembling. "Laura never mentioned him." Victor sighed. "Because she never knew about him. Neither did Andrew. The only people who knew were your father, your father-in-law, and me." Before I could ask another question, Victor suddenly looked past my shoulder. His expression changed instantly. Fear. Real fear. "Rebecca, we have to leave." I turned around. Across the street, a black SUV had just parked. Two men stepped out, both wearing dark suits. Neither looked away from us. Victor whispered, "They found us." My heart skipped. "Who are they?" He grabbed the envelope and pushed it back toward me. "Take these documents, if they get them. Everything Laura sacrificed will be lost." I stood up. "What are you talking about?" Victor looked me straight in the eyes. "The anonymous warning wasn't sent to scare you. It was sent to keep you alive." Before I could react, one of the men started walking toward the cafe. Slowly, confidently. His eyes locked on me. Then he smiled. Not a friendly smile, the kind of smile that says, "He already knows exactly who you are." The man kept walking toward us. Slow, confident, as if he already knew this moment would happen. Victor's voice dropped to a whisper. "Rebecca, whatever happens, don't let him take the documents." So with the envelope in my hands, it suddenly felt heavier than ever. "Who is he?" Victor didn't answer. His eyes never left the man. The cafe became strangely quiet. Even the waitress stopped moving. The man opened the door. A small bell rang above him. He smiled politely. "Good afternoon." His voice was calm, too calm. He walked straight to our table, then looked directly at me. "You must be Rebecca Lawson." I didn't respond. He extended his hand. "My name is Michael Cross." The name hit me immediately. Cross. The same last name Victor had mentioned. I narrowed my eyes. "Are you related to Daniel Cross?" The smile disappeared from his face. He was my father. Victor slowly stood up. I told you she'd figure it out. Michael looked at Victor. You've always underestimated her. I folded my arms. Why have you been watching my family? Michael sighed. I wasn't watching your family. I was protecting it. Victor laughed bitterly. That's the biggest lie you've ever told. Michael ignored him. Instead, he reached into his coat pocket. My heart skipped. But instead of a weapon, he pulled out an old photograph. He placed it on the table. It showed my father, standing beside Daniel Cross. Both men were smiling. I looked closer. Behind them stood Andrew's father and Victor, all four men together. What is this? Michael answered quietly. The last photograph taken before everything fell apart. I looked at Victor. You told me Daniel disappeared. Victor nodded. He did. Michael shook his head. No, he didn't disappear. He was framed. The room fell silent. Victor's expression changed. For the first time, he looked nervous. Michael slid another document toward me. This is the original audit report. The report that disappeared 24 years ago. I carefully opened it. Every page was stamped, official, signed. Then I reached the final page. There it was. A handwritten note. Funds were transferred under direct orders from. The next name made my heart stop. It wasn't Daniel. It wasn't Victor. It wasn't Andrew. It was my father. I couldn't breathe. No, this can't be right. Michael nodded sadly. My father tried to stop him. Instead, he became the one everyone blamed. Tears filled my eyes. My father had died 12 years ago. The man I believed was honest, the man who taught me integrity. Could he really have been responsible? Victor quietly spoke. Rebecca, the report doesn't tell the whole story. Michael immediately interrupted. Neither have you. The two men stared at each other. Years of anger, years of silence, all trapped in one moment. Suddenly, my phone vibrated. Unknown number. Another message. I opened it. There was only one sentence. Don't trust either of them. Attached was a recent photograph, taken only yesterday. It showed Victor and Michael standing together outside the same bank, talking, not arguing, talking. I slowly looked up. Both men noticed the expression on my face. What happened? Victor asked. I quietly turned my phone around. So, you two know each other after all. Neither man answered. That silence told me everything. I had been manipulated, again. I stood up and picked up Laura's journal. I've spent 24 years believing one version of the truth. Then I believed another. But from this moment on, I'm trusting only one person. Victor frowned. Who? I held up Laura's journal. The only person who never asked me to choose sides. Laura. I walked toward the cafe door. Neither man tried to stop me. Just before I reached my car, I opened the journal to the very first page. Inside, a folded map slipped onto the ground. Across the top, Laura had handwritten just 5 words. This is where it began. The map pointed to an abandoned farmhouse, 30 miles outside the city. On the back, one final sentence was written. Go there alone and bring no one you trust. I stared at the map. If Laura was right, every answer I'd been searching for was waiting at that farmhouse. I didn't sleep that night. The silver key never left my sight. It rested on my bedside table, like it was waiting for sunrise. Every time I looked at it, I heard that anonymous message again. Open the safety deposit box until you know who has been watching your family, who knew about the box, who knew Laura had trusted me with the key, most importantly, who was watching us. The next morning, I drove to the bank alone. Andrew offered to come. I refused. This is something I have to do by myself. He nodded. I understand. For the first time in years, he didn't argue. He simply watched me leave. The bank was quiet. A manager greeted me. You must be Mrs. Rebecca Lawson. I looked surprised. You were expecting me? He smiled politely. Ms. Laura made arrangements months ago. If anything happened to her, this box would belong to you. A strange feeling settled over me. Laura had planned everything. She knew this day would come. The manager led me into the private vault. He placed a small metal box on the table. There you are. He quietly walked out, leaving me completely alone. For several seconds, I couldn't move. The anonymous warning echoed inside my head. Maybe I should leave. Maybe I should never know. But after everything I'd already discovered, there was no turning back. I inserted the silver key. The lock clicked. Inside, there wasn't money. There wasn't jewelry. There wasn't a will. There were only 3 things. An old leather journal, a sealed envelope, and a faded family photograph. I picked up the photograph first. The moment I saw it, my heart nearly stopped. It showed Andrew, Laura, my late father-in-law, and one more person. A man I had never seen before. Yet somehow, he stood in the center of the picture. Not Andrew, not Laura, him. Almost as if he was the most important person there. I turned the photograph over. Written in Laura's handwriting were 6 words. "Find him before he finds you." I froze. Find who? Why would he be looking for me? My hands began shaking. I opened the sealed envelope. Inside was another handwritten letter. "Rebecca, if you're holding this letter, then I no longer have time to explain everything myself. The man in that photograph isn't family. He's the reason our lives fell apart." I stopped breathing. The reason? Not Andrew, not my father-in-law. Someone else I continued reading for years. He stayed in the shadows. He manipulated people without leaving evidence. Even Andrew never realized how much influence this man had over our lives. I slowly lowered the letter. Nothing made sense anymore. Had we blamed the wrong person all along? Suddenly, someone knocked on the vault door. 3 slow knocks. The manager's voice sounded nervous. "Mrs. Wood, Lawson, you need to come out. There's someone here asking for you." My heart pounded. There was a long silence, then he quietly answered. "He says, he's the man in your photograph." I stared at the picture, then at the closed vault door. My hands tightened around Laura's letter. Whoever was waiting outside already knew. I had opened the box.